Good evening, welcome to the STEM Shed. This video is actually for you parents out there. So I'm going to actually start focusing a little bit more on the parents since you guys are being put in a situation where you have to teach your kid about how to do math or chemistry or biology. And so I'm going to try to focus a little more on the parents because you guys are, of course, locked down with COVID. And for a lot, you may not remember this math or even how to, and you never taught, which is something I never did. I just had to kind of come into it. And I think I've learned a few tricks along the way. And what I'm going to go over here today is a SAT question I've seen. And also, parents, feel free to grab a drink. Alright, so this is the SAT question. And this actually took me a little while to figure out. And I even knew what the right answer was. I couldn't figure out how to get there. And it's because of something I fell into a classic trap. And it's because of things that have been beaten in my head for such a long time that I couldn't think of any other way to do it until I just happened to figure it out one day just randomly, just at lunch. I was like, wait a second, looked into it and saw what the problem was. So here's a few traps that students will fall into. Alright, so when they do this, the first thing your kid is going to do is they're going to write it out, 2x plus 5y parentheses 3x minus 3y. Then remember please excuse me, dear Aunt Sally. So they're automatically going to do these parentheses here. Parentheses exponents. There's no exponents, so they're going to do these. Even though it doesn't matter, you can actually distribute this 2 all the way through here. But they're going to do this first. Just because they've been told, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, for their whole life, or PEMDAS. So they're going to do this, whoops, not that. They're going to do this, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're going to end up writing this here with a big old bracket. And so they're going to end up getting 3x squared plus, I'll do that, 3x squared minus 3xy plus 15xy minus 15y squared. Alright, so we're going to get this, and instinctively, without even thinking about, the first thing they're going to do is combine like terms. So they're going to rewrite the problem, and they're going to go 3x squared plus 12xy minus 15y squared. Alright, so they're going to do that. And then they're going to distribute this all the way through here, and they're going to end up getting this negative 6x squared minus 24xy plus 30y squared. And one thing they might do is they might look at this answer right here and say, oh, all I gotta do is pull the a out, because they might be mistaking this 24 right here. You gotta remember, your kid is under a lot of stress right now. They are taking the most important test of their lives. It's a dumb test, but it's a test they gotta take. And this is a trap problem. Now, one way kids do solve this is they try and solve each individual problem here. But the problem with that is that this will take forever, and it's a timed test. I don't think there's a problem with necessarily solving problems to get here. When your kids get into like classes like chemistry, they'll give you something that looks like, say, you started here, this is styrene, and and they'll put these little 3 arrows here. Alright, 3 arrows, and you have this fancy molecule. I'm just drawing random stuff and whatever, and they'll all this stuff here, blah blah blah. They'll say you'll have to solve backwards to get back to here. So it's actually a good skill to have, but it's a terrible skill for a terrible test like the SAT or the ACT. But again, it's what you have, so you have to deal with it. So your kid might automatically look at this and think, oh, I just got to pull the 6 out, because they'll forget their multiplication. They're in a terrible test, and they'll pull this out here and thinking they'll get, because 6 times 4 is 24, so they'll pull a 6 out, but instead of thinking this should be a 4, they'll pull this. And they'll say, hey, this is the right answer, but it's not. Now B, they might look at B here, because they'll say, oh, I can pull this 6x out. 6x out, and remember, they're in a test, so they're stressed out, and they'll forget negatives, and they'll do this number, and they'll have x squared, and they'll go, oh yeah, I can pull this out, and they'll forget how this is, and they'll have plus 4xy, which, again, this 6 thing here makes sense, 4xy, but the 6 makes sense here, and then they'll have minus 5y squared, and this makes sense. So they'll go with that one. But again, that's a wrong answer. So you can't use that one. And then next up here, another problem I have here is D. I don't know how you could potentially mess it up, but the thing is, students will choose this and go through with it because they think it seems right, and they'll try it, but it's wrong. And if they solve this and find out it's wrong, they've wasted a lot of time. So here's the correct way to do this problem, and here's how to get C. And let your kids struggle with this. They need to struggle on these problems. They need to see where they messed up. Again, I'm here for teaching how to do math, not how to pass tests. I'm not a test taker myself. So if they did this here, if they got to this point here where they already distributed it in parentheses, but then they distribute this 2 through here, through here, through here, they will get negative 6x squared plus 6xy, and then they would have a minus 30xy, and then a positive 30y squared. So they get to this point right here, and it might become clear what you got to do. So you got to break this up somehow. And this gets confusing, but if you pull this 6x out here, so you got negative 6x, parentheses. All right, so that leaves you x right here. All right, but again, is there negative? No, so we don't pull the negative out. We're actually going to leave the negative in, because people like to pull the negatives out. So negative, so you end up here with a negative x. Remember, you're pulling this out. Actually, let me go back one before I get too far. First thing you want to do is put some parentheses around this, which involves turning this into a plus, and then put your little negative sign up there. I'm doing this just out of space. You can rewrite it, but you can show this. If you do this, it might become more clear, because you'll say, wait, if I pull this 6x out of here, I can pull this 6x. You'll have 6x, negative x. Remember, you pull 6 out here, plus y. You haven't changed the sign, right? All right, and then you have this plus, and then you have this, of course, is negative right here. All right, so you're going to pull this negative 30 out. All right, so you have negative here, so you pull negative 30. But also you got to pull this y out, because you have both like terms. Y. And that leaves you with, all right, so you pull this all out. So that's going to leave you with x minus y. All right, and there is your answer. So it's a much simpler way to go about this. And again, it's good to let your kids struggle. I'm not a fan of the SAT, but it's part of life, and you got to learn how to take these tests. And solving one by one will take a long, long, long time. Your kids surely have to do that on a very stressful test. So come back for more videos where I'll explain a little bit more for you parents out there. So thank you.